My son stole money from me. I followed him and saw who he was giving it to. My heart dropped. Hi everyone. Before we get into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed that the channel's reach has been dropping a bit, and one of the best ways you can support us is by subscribing. It's quick, free, and helps us keep bringing you new and interesting stories. Your support means the world to us, and together we can grow this channel. Thank you so much. Now let's get to today's story. I'm writing from a temporary account for obvious reasons, and I've changed some details to protect my anonymity. I first noticed the missing money on a Tuesday morning in March. $20 from the kitchen drawer where I kept emergency cash. Not a fortune, but enough to make me pause as I counted the bills before heading to the grocery store. I stood there with the drawer open, counting again, certain I had made a mistake. 40, 60, 80. Where was the 100 I could have sworn was there? I checked my wallet, thinking maybe I had already moved it. Nothing. I searched the other drawers, the coat pockets, all the places I sometimes absent-mindedly stuffed money when I was in a hurry. The $20 had simply vanished. Must have spent it and forgotten, I told myself, though I couldn't remember on what. I'm Sarah Jenkins, 42 years old, and I have been raising my son Lucas alone since he was 6. His father left when Lucas was barely out of kindergarten, just walked out one day and never looked back. No forwarding address, no child support checks, no birthday cards, just gone, like we were something he could simply delete from his life. I worked 2 jobs for years to keep us afloat. Receptionist at a dental office during the day, weekend shifts at a diner when I could get them. We lived in a small 2-bedroom apartment that was clean if not fancy, ate home-cooked meals because eating out was a luxury we couldn't afford, and made do with second-hand everything. But we were okay. More than okay. Lucas was a good kid, quiet, polite, did well enough in school. He never complained about not having the newest phone or the name-brand clothes his classmates wore. He understood, in the way children of single mothers learn to understand, that money was tight and asking for extras meant adding to my burden. He was 16 now, tall and lean, with his father's dark hair and my green eyes. He had started working part-time at the library after school, shelving books and helping with programs. He gave me half his paycheck every month without being asked, keeping the rest for his own expenses. I was proud of him, proud of the young man he was becoming despite growing up without a father. Proud that he was responsible and kind and thoughtful. That pride made what came next so much harder to accept. 2 weeks after the first $20 disappeared, I noticed 40 missing from my purse. This time, I couldn't rationalize it away. I had just been to the ATM the day before, withdrawn $60 for the week's groceries. I had bought milk and bread, $8 leaving $52. But when I checked my wallet that morning, there was only $12 folded in the billfold. $40. Gone. I sat at the kitchen table, wallet open in front of me, trying to remember. Had I stopped somewhere else? Bought something I forgot about? Given money to someone? No. I was careful with money. I had to be. Every dollar was accounted for, every expense tracked in the little notebook I kept by the coffee maker. "Lucas!" I called out. He appeared in the kitchen doorway, backpack already on his shoulder. "Yeah, Mom." "Did you borrow money from my purse?" "No." He said it immediately, easily, without the hesitation of someone lying. "Why?" "I'm missing some cash. Just wondering if you needed something and took it. It's okay if you did, I just need to know." "I didn't take anything from your purse." He looked at his phone. "I gotta go, or I'll miss the bus." He kissed my cheek and was out the door before I could ask anything else. I sat there alone in the kitchen, coffee growing cold, trying to believe him. Lucas had never stolen from me, never lied to me. We had always been honest with each other, brutally honest sometimes, in the way you can only be with someone who knows all your struggles and loves you anyway. But $40 doesn't just evaporate. Over the next 3 weeks, more money disappeared. $30 from the envelope, where I saved up for utility bills. $25 from the jar of quarters and dollar bills I kept for laundry. $50 from my purse again, this time taken from the zippered inner pocket where I kept the rent money. Each time, I tried to find another explanation. Each time, there wasn't one. And each time I asked Lucas, he looked me in the eye and said he hadn't taken it. I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. Because if Lucas was stealing from me from us, then I had failed. Failed as a mother, failed to raise him right, failed to teach him the difference between need and want, between honesty and deception. But the evidence was becoming impossible to ignore. The moment I knew for certain came on a rainy Thursday afternoon. I had come home early from work. The dentist office had a pipe burst and closed for emergency repairs. I let myself into the apartment quietly, not wanting to startle Lucas if he was doing homework. The apartment was silent. I assumed Lucas was still at the library, but then I heard movement in his room, the creak of floorboards, the soft rustle of someone trying to move quietly. I walked down the short hallway and pushed open his bedroom door. Lucas was kneeling by his bed, his backpack open in front of him. In his hands were 3 $20 bills. Bills I recognized because I had just withdrawn them from the ATM that morning and left in my purse on the kitchen counter. He froze when he saw me. His face went white, his hands trembling as he clutched the money. "Lucas!" My voice came out strangled. "What are you doing?" He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. No words came out. "Is that my money? From my purse?" He looked down at the bills in his hand, as if he was surprised to find them there. "Mom, I can explain." "Explain? Explain what? That you've been stealing from me? From us?" I could hear my voice rising, could feel the tears burning behind my eyes. "How long, Lucas? How long have you been taking money from me?" "I didn't want to, but you did. You looked me in the eye and lied to me, over and over again. How much? How much have you stolen?" He flinched at the word. "I don't know. Maybe a couple hundred?" A couple $100. Money we couldn't afford to lose. Money that should have gone to rent, to food, to keeping our small life together from falling apart. "What did you spend it on?" I demanded. "Drugs? Is that what this is? Are you on drugs?" "No. Mom, no, nothing like that." "Then what? What could you possibly need that you'd steal from your own mother?" Lucas stood up, the money still clutched in his hand. He looked torn, desperate, like a cornered animal trying to decide whether to fight or flee. "I can't tell you," he said finally. "You can't tell me?" I repeated incredulously. "You steal from me and you can't tell me why?" "Please, Mom, just trust me." "Trust you? You've been lying to me for weeks. How am I supposed to trust you?" Tears were running down his face now. I know, and I'm sorry, but I can't tell you, not yet. Please don't ask me." I stared at my son, this boy I had raised, who I thought I knew better than anyone in the world, and realized I had no idea who he was anymore. "Get out," I said quietly. "What?" "Get out of your room. Go to the living room. I need to check something." Understanding and hurt flashed across his face. "You're going to search my room? What choice do you give me? You've been stealing and lying. How do I know what else you're hiding?" He walked past me without another word, shoulders slumped in defeat. I heard him sink onto the living room couch, heard the springs creak under his weight. I searched his room methodically, hating myself with every drawer I opened, every hiding place I checked. I found nothing. No drugs, no stolen goods, no evidence of what he might be spending the money on. Just a normal teenage boy's room, messy but innocent, full of library books and school papers and the collected debris of 16 years. Under his pillow, I found a small notebook. I opened it, expecting a diary or something equally private. Instead, I found a list. Dates and amounts, written in Lucas's careful handwriting. March 5th, $20. March 19th, $40. March 26th, $30. April 2nd, $25. April 9th, $50. Every theft documented. Proof that it wasn't accidental or impulsive. He had been planning this, tracking it, deliberately taking from me over and over again. The total at the bottom, $165. I sat on his bed, holding the notebook, feeling like the ground had opened up beneath me. This was real. My son was a thief. I walked back to the living room. Lucas was sitting with his head in his hands, crying silently. "I found your list," I said. "You've been keeping track." He looked up, face blotchy and wet. "Yes." "Why? Why would you do this?" "We don't have money to spare, Lucas. You know that. Every dollar I have goes to keeping us afloat, and you just take it?" "I'm sorry." "Sorry isn't enough. I work so hard to provide for us, to give you a decent life, and you steal from me, from your own mother. What happened to you? When did you become someone who does this?" "I had to," he said desperately. "I didn't have a choice." "There's always a choice. You could have asked me. You could have told me whatever it is you need the money for. We could have figured it out together. You would have said no. Then maybe that was the right answer. Maybe whatever you're spending this money on isn't something you should have." Lucas stood up abruptly. "I have to go." "You're not going anywhere. We're not done." "I have to go," he repeated, grabbing his backpack. "I'm sorry, Mom. I really am. But I have to go." He was out the door before I could stop him, his footsteps echoing down the stairwell. I stood in the empty apartment, surrounded by the silence of our life together, and realized I didn't know my own son at all. I couldn't sleep that night. Lucas came home around 9, went straight to his room, and closed the door. I heard him moving around in there, the soft sounds of someone trying to be quiet. I wanted to go in, to demand answers, to shake the truth out of him, but I was afraid of what I might learn, afraid that whatever he was involved in was so bad he'd rather steal than tell me. Drugs, I kept thinking. It has to be drugs, or gambling, or he owes someone money, or he's being blackmailed. Every scenario I imagined was worse than the last. At 2 a.m, I made a decision. I would follow him, see where he went, who he met, what he was doing with my money. It was a violation of his privacy, of the trust between us, what little remained. But I couldn't think of another way. I needed to know the truth, even if it destroyed us. I called in sick to work the next day. Lucas left for school at his usual time, 7:30, and I followed 10 minutes later, wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses, like some kind of amateur detective. I felt ridiculous, spying on my own son, skulking down the street like a criminal. But I kept walking, kept my distance, watched as Lucas turned toward the bus stop. Except he didn't get on the bus. He walked past it, past the other students waiting, past the route that would take him to school. He kept walking, hands in his pockets, backpack slung over one shoulder, heading into a neighborhood I didn't recognize. I followed, my heart pounding. The area was getting worse, buildings more run down, streets dirtier, the few people out at this hour looking worn and wary. Where was he going? Lucas turned down a narrow street lined with old apartment buildings, paint peeling, windows cracked. He walked with purpose, like he'd been here before, like he knew exactly where he was going. He stopped in front of a particularly dilapidated building, 4 stories of brick and broken dreams, the kind of place landlords forgot about and tenants couldn't afford to leave. Lucas climbed the steps to the entrance, pulled open the door, and disappeared inside. I waited a moment, then followed. The building smelled of mold and old cooking oil, the hallway dim and uninviting. I heard footsteps above me, Lucas climbing the stairs. I followed the sound to the 3rd floor, heard him knock on a door, 3 short raps, pause, 2 more. The door opened. I couldn't see who answered from where I stood at the top of the stairs, but I heard Lucas's voice, soft and concerned. "How are you feeling today?" A man's voice answered, weak and hoarse. "Been better, kid. You didn't have to come." "I wanted to. I brought—" The voices became muffled as they moved deeper into the apartment. I crept closer, pressing myself against the wall, trying to see without being seen. The apartment door was slightly ajar. Through the crack, I could see a sparse, shabby room, a couch with the stuffing coming out, a card table with 2 folding chairs, water stains on the ceiling, and Lucas, pulling money from his backpack. My money. He was handing it to a man I couldn't quite see, just a thin arm reaching out to accept the bills, a quiet thank you that sounded like it hurt to say. "It's not much," Lucas was saying, "but it should cover food for the week, and I can try to get more." "No." The man's voice was firmer now. "No, Lucas. You can't keep taking from your mother. She'll notice. She'll ask questions." "She already did. She knows I'm taking it." "Then you have to stop. I can't let you do this anymore." "What am I supposed to do? Let you starve?" "I'm not starving." "You lost 20 pounds, Dad. Your landlord is threatening to evict you. You can barely afford your medications. Don't tell me you're fine." "Dad." The word hit me like a physical blow. I grabbed the wall for support, my legs suddenly weak. "Dad." Lucas was giving the money to his father, to Marcus, the man who had abandoned us 11 years ago, who had disappeared without a trace, who I had spent years hating for what he did to us. I must have made a sound, a gasp, or a sob, or something, because Lucas's head snapped toward the door. Our eyes met through the crack. His face went pale. "Mom!" The door opened wider, and I saw Marcus for the first time in 11 years. He was barely recognizable. The man I had married had been strong, healthy, full of energy and plans. The man sitting on that threadbare couch was a skeleton of that person. Thin to the point of gauntness, skin sallow, eyes sunken. He wore clothes that hung off his frame, and even from across the room, I could see the tremor in his hands. "Sarah." He said my name like a prayer and a curse combined. I couldn't speak, couldn't move. Just stood there in the doorway of this terrible apartment, staring at the ghost of my husband. "Mom, I can explain," Lucas started. "How long?" My voice came out as a whisper. "How long have you known where he was?" Lucas glanced at Marcus, then back at me. 6 months. I was downtown after my library shift, and I saw him. He was outside a free clinic, waiting to see a doctor. I almost didn't recognize him. 6 months, I repeated. 6 months you've been seeing him. Helping him, with my money. Our money, Lucas said quietly. I gave him mine too, from my paycheck. That's why you've been giving me half, instead of keeping what you earn. You've been splitting it 3 ways. You, me, and him. Lucas nodded miserably. I looked at Marcus. Really looked at him. Tried to see the man who had left us, who had walked away from his family, without explanation or apology. All I saw was someone who was suffering. Why? I asked him. Why did you leave? Marcus's hands were shaking worse now. He clasped them together, trying to still them. I got sick, he said simply. Got diagnosed with early-onset Parkinson's. I was 32 years old, Sarah. We had a 6-year-old son, and barely any savings. I knew the medical bills would bury us, so I left. I thought if I wasn't there, you wouldn't be responsible for me. You could move on, find someone else, give Lucas a better life than I could. You thought abandoning us was better than fighting together? I thought I was protecting you. I couldn't work anymore. The tremors got too bad. I couldn't take care of Lucas, couldn't be the father he deserved. I was just going to be a burden, dragging you both down with me. So you left us with nothing, no support, no explanation, just gone. I know it was wrong. I've known every day for 11 years. But I couldn't come back. I didn't have the right anymore. I turned to Lucas. And you found him and decided to help him, without telling me. He asked me not to, Lucas said. He said you'd been through enough, that I shouldn't bring him back into your life. But Mom, I couldn't just walk away. He's sick. He's alone. He can barely afford to eat, let alone pay for his medications. I had to do something. So you stole from me. I borrowed, Lucas corrected desperately. I was going to pay it back. I just needed time. With what money? You make minimum wage shelving books. You can't support yourself, me, and him. It's impossible. I know, but I had to try. You don't understand what it's like, Mom. All those years I thought he just didn't want us, that he left because he didn't love us. And then I find out the truth, that he left to try to save us, that he's been suffering alone this whole time. How could I just walk away? The way he walked away from us? Lucas flinched. That's not fair. Isn't it? He chose to leave. He chose to lie to us for 11 years. And now you're lying to me too. I looked at Marcus again, at this broken shell of the man I had once loved. Part of me wanted to feel satisfaction, wanted to see his suffering as justice for what he did to us. But mostly, I just felt tired. Do you have family? I asked him. Anyone helping you? No, my parents died a few years ago. I don't have siblings. It's just me. What about disability benefits? I get some, not much. Enough to keep me in this place and fed on good months. But the medications, he gestured vaguely, they're expensive, and I need them to function at all. I walked into the apartment fully, taking in the details Lucas had been seeing for 6 months. The nearly empty refrigerator, visible from where the kitchen door stood open, the pills bottles lined up on the windowsill, all half empty, rationed to make them last. The single blanket on the couch where Marcus clearly slept because he couldn't afford a bed. This was what my son had been protecting, this secret shame, this hidden suffering. Why didn't you tell me? I asked Lucas. When you found him, why didn't you come to me? Because I was afraid of this, of you being hurt again, of having to choose between helping him and being loyal to you. Lucas's voice cracked. I thought if I could just handle it myself, I could help him without causing you more pain. So you stole from me instead. I didn't know what else to do. Lucas was crying now, years of holding this secret finally breaking loose. Every time I saw him, he was thinner, sicker. His landlord keeps threatening eviction. He's trying so hard to just survive. And I'm his son. How could I do nothing? I sank onto the edge of the couch, as far from Marcus as the small piece of furniture allowed. My mind was spinning, trying to process everything. Marcus had left us because he was sick, because he thought his illness would destroy our lives. In trying to protect us, he had abandoned us to struggle alone. And Lucas, finding him by chance, had tried to save us both, tried to help his father without hurting his mother. In trying to protect me, he had stolen from me. 2 men, both lying to me with good intentions, both thinking they knew what was best without asking. I don't know what to feel, I said finally. I'm angry, I'm hurt, I'm confused, but mostly I'm just tired. I'm sorry, Marcus said, for all of it, for leaving, for not fighting harder, for letting pride and fear make my decisions. You didn't deserve that. Lucas didn't deserve that. No, I agreed. We didn't. Silence filled the small apartment. Outside, I could hear traffic, the distant wail of a siren, the sounds of a city that kept moving while our small world had stopped. What now? Lucas asked quietly. I looked at my son, 16 years old, and trying to carry the weight of 2 adults' failures on his shoulders, trying to be the bridge between his parents, the glue holding together what never should have broken in the first place. Now, I said slowly, we figure this out together, all of us. No more secrets, no more stealing, no more trying to protect each other by lying. Lucas let out a shaky breath. Really? Really? But Lucas, you're grounded until you're 30 for stealing from me. Despite everything, he laughed. A wet, broken sound, but a laugh nonetheless. I turned to Marcus. I don't forgive you. Not yet. Maybe not ever. What you did, leaving us like that, it was wrong. Whatever your reasons, you should have trusted me enough to let me make my own choices about whether to stay. I know, but I took a deep breath. I'm not going to let you suffer alone anymore. Not because I'm ready to welcome you back into my life, but because Lucas deserves better than being torn between us, and because whatever else you are, you're still his father. Marcus started crying, then silent tears sliding down his gaunt face. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. We need to figure out a real solution. Benefits you might qualify for. Programs that could help. I have a friend who works in social services. I'll reach out to her. Sarah, you don't have to. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for Lucas, so he doesn't have to sacrifice his future trying to support his father. I stood up, suddenly needing to be out of that apartment, away from the ghost of my past and the complicated present it had created. Lucas, we're going home. We need to talk. Really talk. Lucas grabbed his backpack and followed me to the door. Before we left, he turned back to Marcus. I'll come by this weekend, with Mom's permission this time. Marcus nodded. I'd like that. We walked home in silence. The rain had started again, light and cold, soaking through my jacket. Lucas walked beside me, hands in his pockets, shoulders hunched against the weather and the weight of everything that had happened. We were almost home when he finally spoke. Are you going to kick me out? I stopped walking. What? No. Why would you think that? Because I stole from you. I lied to you. I broke your trust. Lucas, look at me. He raised his head, and I saw the fear in his eyes. The fear that he had destroyed everything, that I couldn't forgive this, that our family already fractured would finally fall apart completely. What you did was wrong, I said carefully. Taking money from me without asking, lying about where it was going, that was wrong. And there will be consequences. But you're my son. You're not going anywhere. Even though I disappointed you? You didn't disappoint me. You broke my trust, and that's going to take time to rebuild. But you know what? You also showed me something I didn't expect. What? Compassion. When you found your father, you could have walked away. He abandoned us. He put us through hell. You would have been justified in never speaking to him again. But you saw him suffering, and you couldn't just leave him there. That took courage, and kindness, and a bigger heart than I have right now. Lucas was crying again. I just wanted to help both of you. I know, and we're going to figure this out. But Lucas, you can't save everyone. You can't sacrifice yourself trying to fix things that broke before you were old enough to understand them. He's my dad. Yes, and I'm your mom. And we both need to be adults here, so you can just be 16. You shouldn't have to choose between us. You shouldn't have to steal to take care of anyone. That's not your job. We started walking again, slower now. Do you hate him? Lucas asked. Dad, I mean. I thought about that question. About Marcus, wasting away in that terrible apartment. About the man he used to be. The man I had loved enough to marry. About the choice he made that had seemed so wrong, and yet, in his broken logic, had been meant as an act of love. I don't know what I feel, I admitted. It's all too much, too fast. Ask me again in 6 months. But you're going to help him? Really? I'm going to help you help him. There's a difference. We climbed the stairs to our apartment. Inside, everything was exactly as we'd left it that morning. My coffee cup in the sink, Lucas's cereal bowl on the counter, the small, ordinary markers of our life together. I'm still grounded, right? Lucas asked. Oh, absolutely. Grounded and on dish duty for the next month, and you're paying me back every penny you took, not all at once, but bit by bit from your paychecks. Fair. We stood in the kitchen, mother and son, survivors of circumstances neither of us had chosen. I pulled him into a hug, and he wrapped his arms around me, holding on tight. I love you, Mom, he whispered. I love you too, even when you drive me crazy. I'm sorry for all of it. I know. We'll get through this. We always do. Getting Marcus the help he needed took time. My friend in social services helped us navigate the maze of disability benefits and medical assistance programs. We found a case manager who specialized in Parkinson's patients. We got Marcus connected with a better neurologist who adjusted his medications and made them more affordable through a patient assistance program. It took 3 months, but we managed to get him into better housing and apartment in a building with an elevator and handicap accessibility. Not fancy, but clean and safe. Lucas visited him every week, sometimes with me, sometimes alone. Slowly, cautiously, I started talking to Marcus again. Not as a husband that was long dead, but as the father of my son. As someone I had once cared about and who, despite everything, was still part of our family's story. It wasn't easy. Some days I was still angry. Some days I wanted to scream at him for the years we struggled alone, for the nights I worked double shifts, for every time Lucas asked where his daddy was, and I had no answer. But other days, watching Lucas help Marcus with physical therapy exercises or seeing my son laugh at some shared joke, I felt something else. Not forgiveness exactly, but understanding. Or maybe just acceptance that life is more complicated than right and wrong, that people make terrible choices for complicated reasons, and that sometimes moving forward means carrying the past with you instead of trying to leave it behind. Lucas paid back every dollar he took. It took him 6 months, but he insisted on doing it. Said it was important to him to make it right, even though I would have forgiven the debt. "It's the principle," he said, sounding so much older than 16. "I took something that wasn't mine. I need to give it back." On the day he handed me the last $20, I added it to our emergency fund. Then I took us both out to dinner, nothing fancy, just burgers at our favorite diner. "Thank you," I said, "for being honest." Eventually, "Thank you for not giving up on me," he replied. "Never. You're stuck with me." He smiled. Good. A year after I followed Lucas to that apartment and discovered his secret, I ran into Marcus at the grocery store. He was in the produce section, carefully selecting apples, moving with the slow deliberation his tremors required. He looked better, healthier, more stable. Still sick, but not dying. "Sarah," he said when he saw me. "Hi." "Hi." Awkward silence. We hadn't spoken in weeks. Lucas had been doing his visits solo, and I had been letting him have that relationship without my constant presence. "How are you?" Marcus asked. "I'm okay." "You?" "Better. The new medications are helping. My case manager thinks I might be able to do some part-time work eventually. Nothing physical, but maybe data entry or something. A way to feel useful again." "That's good." More silence. I should have walked away, continued my shopping, maintained the careful distance we had established. But instead, I heard myself say, "Do you want to get coffee sometime? Just to talk. About Lucas, about logistics. Make sure we're on the same page with things." Marcus looked surprised. "You'd want that?" "I don't know if want is the right word, but I think we should, for Lucas's sake." "Okay, yeah, I'd like that." We exchanged numbers after 11 years apart, the first voluntary connection. Walking away, I felt strange. Not happy exactly, not healed, but maybe a little less angry, a little more at peace with the impossible complexity of being human. Lucas is 17 now. He's applying to colleges, thinking about becoming a social worker. Says he wants to help people who fall through the cracks the way his father did. He still works at the library, but now he keeps his paychecks. No more splitting them, no more hiding his earnings. He's saving for college, for his future, for the life he's building. Last week, he asked if Marcus could come to his birthday dinner. "Just us 3, he said. "Nothing big, but I want you both there." I hesitated. Marcus and I in the same room for a celebration, not just a logistics meeting. It felt like crossing another line, moving toward something I wasn't sure I was ready for. "Please, Mom," Lucas said. "I know it's weird. I know it's complicated. But you're both my parents. And I want one birthday, just one, where you're both there." How could I say no to that? So Marcus came to dinner, sat at our table, the same table we'd eaten at as a family 12 years ago, before everything fell apart. Lucas had made spaghetti, his specialty, and we ate together with surprising ease. No one mentioned the past. No one brought up the pain or the abandonment or the secrets. We just existed in that moment, 3 people connected by love and loss, and the daily choice to keep trying. After Marcus left, Lucas hugged me tight. "Thank you," he whispered. "For what?" "For giving him a chance. for not hating him forever, for being bigger than the hurt. I thought about that, about hate and forgiveness, and all the complicated space between. I'm not bigger than the hurt, I told him honestly. I'm just trying to be bigger than the anger, for you, because you deserve parents who can be in the same room without making everything about their past. Still, thank you. I don't know what our future looks like. I don't know if Marcus's health will improve or decline. I don't know if I'll ever fully forgive him for leaving, or if he'll ever forgive himself. I don't know if Lucas will get into his dream school or stay close to home. What I do know is this. My son stole from me because he couldn't bear to see his father suffer. He lied because he was trying to protect everyone he loved. He sacrificed his own honesty because at 16 years old, he thought he could save us all. He was wrong. He couldn't save us. But in failing to save us, he showed us how to save ourselves. He gave us the chance to choose differently, to let go of pride and anger, and the belief that we had to handle everything alone. To admit that sometimes the hardest thing isn't walking away from pain, it's turning back toward it and trying to heal what we thought was beyond healing. Marcus took money from us when he left, not literally, but in all the ways that mattered. Security, trust, the belief that family meant forever. Lucas took money from me to give it back to his father. And in doing so, he gave me something I didn't even know I'd lost. The capacity to see that people are more than their worst moments. That love is more complicated than staying or leaving. That forgiveness isn't about erasing the past. It's about choosing not to let the past erase your future. I found my son stealing from me, followed him, and discovered a truth that broke my heart. But in the breaking, something else happened. We learned to be a family again. Not the family we were, not the family I had imagined we would be, but a family nonetheless. Imperfect, complicated, held together by a teenage boy's impossible compassion and a mother's reluctant grace. My son took my money, but he gave me back something more valuable. He gave me back my humanity,